This is not only the last canto of Book 3, the book of the adoration of the Divine Mother. It's also the last canto of part 1 of the poem. The poem is divided into 3 parts, and this first part comes to an end at the end of this canto, which describes the culmination of King Asvapati's search. In what we read last week, we saw this wonderful description of Asvapati's heart, halfway between his free and fallen selves, his free spiritual self, his fallen self, the soul involved in nature, in the grip of matter. This heart turned to her for whom it willed to be, the Supreme Divine Mother. And we read that all the other parts of the being were satisfied with peace, that peace of being on the spiritual heights. And it is only the heart which is calling ardently to the Mother, asking for her to come to save earth and men. This was the fiery point that called her now. So we saw Asvapati in a state of silent mind, this intense aspiring heart, sending its voiceless prayer to the unknown and listening for the footsteps of its hopes coming back fulfilled. It's waiting for the fiat, the word of command that comes through the still self from the Supreme. So I will read on from there. Canto 4, the vision and the boon. Then suddenly there rose a sacred stir. Amid the lifeless silence of the void, in a solitude and an immensity, a sound came, quivering like a loved footfall heard in the listening spaces of the soul. A touch perturbed his fibers with delight. An influence had approached the mortal range. A boundless heart was near his longing heart. A mystic form enveloped his earthly shape. All at her contact broke from silence seal. Spirit and body thrilled, identified, linked in the grasp of an unspoken joy. Mind, members, life were merged in ecstasy. Intoxicated as with nectarous rain, his nature's passioning stretches flowed to her, flashing with lightnings, mad with luminous wine. All was a limitless sea that heaved to the moon. A divinizing stream possessed his veins. His body's cells awoke to spirit sense. Each nerve became a burning thread of joy. Tissue and flesh partook beatitude. Alight, the dun, unplumbed, subconscient caves thrilled with the prescience of her longed-for tread, and filled with flickering crests and praying tongues. Even lost in slumber, mute, inanimate, his very body answered to her power. The one he worshipped was within him now. Flame pure, ethereal tressed, a mighty face appeared, and lips moved by immortal words. Lids, wisdom's leaves, drooped over rapture's orbs. A marble monument of ponderings shone a forehead, sight's crypt, and large like ocean's gaze towards heaven, two tranquil eyes of boundless thought looked into man's and saw the God to come. A shape was seen on threshold mind, a voice absolute and wise in the heart's chambers spoke. O Son of Strength, who climbst creation's peaks, no soul is thy companion in the light. Alone thou standest at the eternal doors. What thou hast won is thine, but ask no more. O spirit aspiring in an ignorant frame, O voice arisen from the inconscient's world, how shalt thou speak for men whose hearts are dumb? Make purblind earth the soul's seer vision's home, or lighten the burden of the senseless globe. I think it's Nargis's turn. Nargis, would you read?
Then suddenly there rose a sacred stir. Amid the lifeless silence of the void, in a solitude A sound came quivering like a loud footfall, heard in the listening spaces of the soul. A touch perturbed his fibers with delight.
Thank you. So there he was in all that vastness and silence, only his own consciousness making some kind of a connection between this lost world below and the heights of the spirit, praying intensely. And then suddenly something moves, a stir, a movement, and it's a sacred stir. In that movement there's a sense of something holy, of something divine. Into that lifeless silence of the void, of the emptiness, in that solitude where he's all alone, and that immensity, that vastness, a sound came, and it sounds, that sound is like something familiar. It's like the sound of the footstep of somebody that you love very, very much. A sound came quivering like a loved footfall, the sound of the foot touching the ground. You will recognize the sound of the footfall of the one that you love. No, you will recognize it. So, like that. And that is heard not with the physical ears, it's heard in the listening spaces of the soul. And there's not only the sound, there's also a touch. Something touches Asvapati. That touch is disturbing. Everything has been so peaceful, but now that touch perturbed the fibers with delight. That the delight is so intense, it's maybe difficult to bear. Perturbed, troubled. Right at the very beginning of the poem we have a line where beauty and wonder perturbed the fields of God. No? When the dawn begins to come in with those lovely colors, the presence of the dawn goddess, something miraculous, that is a kind of disturbance. Eve, would you read?
Yes. An influence that approached the mortal range. The boundless heart was near his longing heart. A mystic form enveloped his earthly shape.
Yes. So something has come, an influence, the feeling of a presence or the effect of a presence, something flowing in. If you are sensitive, you may feel the influence of somebody near to you. This is an influence with a capital I. It is something which has come from the high worlds, and it has come near to the mortal range, this limited range where we live in the grip of ignorance and death. And he feels a heart, a boundless heart, an infinite heart, very near to his heart, his heart that is longing and praying. And he feels that a form, a mystical form, envelops, surrounds his whole body and takes it into itself. His earthly shape is still there, the shape of the body, that outermost shell of the spirit, but it's surrounded, embraced, penetrated by that mystic form. Bhavan, would you read?
At her contact broke from silent seal. Spirit and body stood identified, linked in the grasp of an unspoken bond. Mind, members, life were merged in ecstasy.
Yes. So at that touch, at that contact with her, with the mother, everything in him that has been so silent, as if sealed up, closed up, protected in that silence, it all breaks out from that seal of silence. Everything becomes alive. And spirit and body, these two extremes which he had experienced as so separated, now they are experiencing the same thrill. They feel one in that unspoken joy, that intense delight. They are as if being held together, both the spirit and the body. So all the parts of him, the mind, the members, the limbs, the different parts of the body, and the life, they are all merged together in oneness, in that ecstasy, that intense delight of the mother's touch. Renana.
Intoxic as which in
Nectarous. Nectar is that sweet liquid that is in flowers, no? Something very sweet. Nectarous rain, yes.
is nature's passioning.
Yes, passioning.
Stretches flows to her, fashioned with lightning, mad with luminous
Wine, yes. So this is an expression of that intense delight, intoxicated. It's when you don't know where you are as if crazy when you have drunk too much, no? That luminous wine, that wine of ecstasy, that soma, full of light. His whole nature is as if penetrated by this nectarous rain. Something is pouring down on him, and it's full of sweetness, nectar. But nectar is also what the gods drink. It's Amrita, yes, Amrita, yes, exactly. It's what keeps them immortal, you know. It's that luminous wine. So all his nature is attracted to her. All the different parts, the stretches, the areas of his nature, and they all become filled with passion, with intense feeling, and they flow towards her, flashing with lightnings. So they're really energized, full of intense energy, no? Mad with this luminous wine of delight. Soma.
You see that at the same time luminous also.
Sorry? It's luminous, yes, yes. It's a wine of light. He hasn't actually drunk any substance, no. But it's wine in the sense of what intoxicates you and gives you ananda, no? That's the wine, of course, is this fermented drink made from grapes, but the spiritual significance that Mother has given to the fruit, the grape, it is ananda, it is bliss. So, did I let you read that next line? All was a limitless sea that heaved to the moon. We should have read that as well. His whole being, it's as like the way that the sea is attracted by the moon's gravity. No? So everything in him is being attracted, lifting up, trying to reach this source of light. And the moon in the Vedic imagery is connected always with soma, with that intoxicating delight.
The divinizing stream possessed his veins. His body's cells awoke to spirit sense. Each nerve became a burning thread of joy. Tissue and flesh parted beatitude.
So all this luminous wine and nectarous rain seems to flow through him like a stream which is making him divine, which is making him immortal, as if that's circulating through his veins. And the cells, the consciousness of the cells wakes up to the same kind of subtle sense that the spirit has. All the nerves of the body are alive, tingling, a burning thread of joy, intense delight. So all the tissues, the flesh of the body, share in beatitude, in bliss. To partake is to taste or to share. Beatitude, it's another word for bliss. So Mahalingam. Yeah?
Alex, then unplumbed subconscious gates thrill with Christians after a long fought drug and filled with flickering crest and praying tongue.
Yes. So even the subconscious part, those dark caves, normally it's a cave of darkness, no? Done, they haven't got any color, they're unplumbed, nobody knows, nobody can measure how deep these subconscious caves are, but they light up with this sense of the Mother's presence. They are alight. It can mean they're full of light, it can also mean that they're full of fire. They've caught fire. Everything in the subconscious parts is also thrilling with the feeling, the prescience, the knowledge in advance that the Mother is going to set her feet there. The prescience. Prescience is when you know something in advance, beforehand. No? So they light up at the feeling, oh, she is coming, and she's going to set her feet there. And it's as if even those subconscious caves have been longing for the touch of the mother's feet. So they fill with flickering crests like flames of light and energy, and tongues of flame that are tongues of prayer. Everything is waking up in those subconscious parts with aspiration and adoration even. James?
Even lost in slumber, mute, inanimate, his very body answered to her power.
So it's interesting, no? He has been speaking about the cells and the nerves, the tissue and the flesh.
And of the awakening of the positive, first consciousness of...
Yes, but then he seems to say all these things light up and they feel her presence, no? And then he speaks of the subconscious caves. Of course, a lot of our physical being is subconscious. And then he mentions his very body, even his body. So I think here it means the most physical parts, no? The cells and the nerves. This is the life parts in the body. But even the very body answered to her power. That body which is normally lost in slumber, mute, inanimate, the bones, we don't know, all the darkest parts. His very body answered, responded to her power. There's no part that is left out of this experience. Joel.
The one he worshipped was within him now, flame pure, ethereal dressed, a mighty face appeared, and lips moved by immortal words. Lips, wisdom's leaves, droop over rapture's orbs.
Yes. So the one he worshipped, the Supreme Divine Mother, has come into him. He feels her within him. At the same time, he can see her. He sees this mighty face, which is pure like flame. And there is something like hair, ethereal tressed. Tress is a lock of hair. So there's something even like hair, but that hair is ethereal. It belongs to that the most subtle form of substance, ether. It belongs to that rarest substance. So he sees this mighty face and even lips which can speak, lips which are moved by immortal words. And he sees eyes, lids, the eyelids. These are like leaves in their form. They are expressing wisdom, and they are drooping over eyes, orbs. There's a poetic word for the eyes themselves. These eyes are full of rapture, and we see in the sacred art of India the way that that rapture, that bliss is expressed sometimes by half-closed eyes. No? So the lids are drooping over these rapturous eyes in this mighty face which he sees. Yuli.
Marble monument of conjuring's shown forehead, sides pricked, large like ocean's days, towards heaven. Two tranquil eyes of boundless thought looked into lens and saw the dark to come.
Yes. So there's the lips, there's the eyes, or the eyelids, and there's a forehead. He says that is like a marble monument, pure and white and firm, a marble monument of ponderings. We could say musings, not exactly thinking, but a kind of meditative, musing state seems to be expressed by this forehead. It is shining, pure, large. And that is the crypt of sight. A crypt is a deep place, often a sacred place underneath a church or a temple. Here it suggests to me that this brow, this forehead, it is somehow shining with a power of vision. The center of vision is here. So the yes. And then there are eyes, two tranquil eyes which seem to express boundless thought. And they look towards this human being, Asvapati, and see the God to come, the fulfillment that lies in the future. Those eyes, he says, are vast, they are large in the way that ocean is large, unlimited, looking up towards heaven. In the same way, these eyes seem limitless, infinite, as they look at Asvapati and see the divine potentiality that is within him. I think that people who have looked into our mother's eyes sometimes have been blessed with some experience like this, looking into limitlessness and feeling that that limitlessness was looking back at them and seeing the very essence of their being, their true being, what they truly are. Satya, would you read?
Her shape was seen on threshold mine, her voice absolute and wise in the heart's chambers spoke. O Son of Strength, who climbs creation's peaks, no soul is thy companion in the light. Alone thou standest at the eternal doors. What thou hast won is thine, but ask no more.
Thank you. So he sees this shape, this form in inner mind as on a threshold where we step over into something different, no? The threshold is that door sill where we enter something. So mind is like that, a kind of borderline. And the voice speaks deep inside, in the chambers of the heart. The mother salutes him, greets him. She calls him son of strength. Sometimes he's called son of force also. He's the son of Shakti, of that dynamic aspect of the divine. And she says, she uses this, Aurobindo is doing this throughout the poem. In normal English everyday speech, we do not use the second person singular. We don't use this term thee, thou, thine. No? We use the plural form you, even if it's only one person we are speaking to in normal speech. But in poetry and in some special forms of literature, we still occasionally make use of this old singular form. And it can be very useful because we know that the mother is speaking only to Aswapati at this time. Sometimes there is Savitri and Shraddhavan, and then the plural form will be used. But when the divine speaks to Savitri alone, or death speaks to Savitri alone, he uses this singular form, which is not normal in our everyday speech anymore. So the verbs have special endings to match that pronoun. She says, who climbst. If it were saying you, we would say, you climb. No? Who climb creation's peaks. But this st ending is special to this first person, second person singular. So she tells him, you are all alone. No other soul has reached this far. No soul is thy companion, your companion. There's nobody else beside you in this light that you have reached. You are standing, thou standest, you are standing alone at the eternal doors, the doors to the Supreme. And she tells him, what you have won, all that you have gained by your tapasya is yours, is thine. Nobody can take it away from you. But don't ask for anything more. And then she explains why, Martin.
O spirit, aspiring in an ignorant frame, O voice, arisen from the inconstant world, how shalt thou speak for men whose hearts are dumb? Make purblind earth the soul's seer vision's home, or lighten the burden of the senseless flow?
So, she says, there you are representative of the spirit aspiring, but the frame you are aspiring in, this human frame, is ignorant. Your voice has come, your prayer has reached me, but it's arisen, it has risen up out of the world, which is the world of the inconscient. So how is it possible for you, one individual, to speak for all the human beings, for men whose hearts are dumb, who are not praying, who are not even thinking about praying? How are you hoping to make earth, purblind earth, she says. Blind we know, something is blind, it can't see. Purblind, it means absolutely blind. Sometimes with human beings we say there are none so blind as those that will not see. So people who will not see, who do not want to see and who refuse to see, they are purblind. So how are you aspiring to make this earth, this material globe which is unable to see, how can you make that the home of that seer vision of the soul that sees the spirit and the future, the truth? How can you lighten the burden, the load of the senseless globe, this material globe that doesn't even have senses, that is not able to feel, that is not living? Dhanalakshmi.
I am the mystery beyond reach of mind. I am the goal of the travel of the sense. My fire and sweetness are the cause of life. But too immense my danger and my joy.
Yes. It's clear, I think, no? I am that mystery, that unknowable, beyond the reach of mind. I'm the goal. The whole travail, all the effort, all the tapas of time is moving towards this goal, this fulfillment. The travail of the suns, all these burning lights full of energy and heat that illumine the universe. There wouldn't be any life at all if it were not for the fire, the energy, and the sweetness that is in me. But this is something so powerful. It's too immense, it's too huge for earth and for man. Too immense. My danger and my joy. Human beings can't bear it. The earth can't bear it.
Awake not the immeasurable descent. Speak not my secret name to hostile time. Man is too weak to bear the infinite weight.
Yes.
Truth, though too soon might break the imperfect earth.
Yes. So she says, don't demand, don't wake up this immeasurable descent. If the whole new creation would come down at one go, no? Don't speak my secret name to hostile time. There are things, certain things which have to be kept secret until the right time has come. Man, human beings as they are too weak. They are not strong enough, they are not prepared to be able to bear that weight, that tremendous weight of the infinite. So if the supreme truth were to be born too soon, the whole material frame, the whole material basis of everything might break. And that's not what's wished for. What is wished for is a gradual transformation, a waking up, a preparation, a readiness, so that earth too that matter too can be divinized. So she says, don't be impatient, don't be in too much of a hurry. Leave the all-seeing power to hew its way. There's a power, there's a wisdom that knows exactly what it's doing, it sees everything, it is hewing its way through adamant, somewhere Aurobindo says, through a very, very hard resistance. In thy single vast achievement, reign apart. You can rule. You are the only one who have had this great achievement, made this great achievement. You're truly a king in every sense of the word, a ruler. You must rule apart from the rest of humanity, but you will be helping the world with your great lonely days. That's what she asks him to do. So we will continue. She tells him a lot of things in this long speech about himself, about earth, about humanity, about the future. It goes on to page 341. So we'll continue with it next week. Shall we read these lines together?
Then suddenly there rose a sacred stir. Amid the lifeless silence of the void, in a solitude and an immensity, a sound came quivering like a loved footfall, heard in the listening spaces of the soul. A touch perturbed his fibers with delight. An influence had approached the mortal range. A boundless heart was near his longing heart. A mystic form enveloped his earthly shape. All at her contact broke from silence seal. Spirit and body thrilled, identified, linked in the grasp of an unspoken joy. Mind, members, life were merged in ecstasy. Intoxicated as with nectarous rain, his nature's passioning stretches flowed to her, flashing with lightnings, mad with luminous wine. All was a limitless sea that heaved to the moon. A divinizing stream possessed his veins. His body's cells awoke to spirit sense. Each nerve became a burning thread of joy. Tissue and flesh partook beatitude. Alight the dun, unplumbed, subconscient caves, thrilled with the prescience of her longed-for tread, and filled with flickering crests and praying tongues. Even lost in slumber, mute, inanimate, his very body answered to her power. The one he worshipped was within him now. Flame pure, ethereal tressed, a mighty face appeared, and lips moved by immortal words. Lids, wisdom's leaves, drooped over rapture's orbs. A marble monument of ponderings shone a forehead, sights crypt, and large like ocean's gaze towards heaven, two tranquil eyes of boundless thought looked into man's and saw the God to come. A shape was seen on threshold mind, a voice absolute and wise in the heart's chamber spoke. O Son of Strength, who climbst creation's peaks, no soul is thy companion in the light. Alone thou standest at the eternal doors. What thou hast won is thine, but ask no more. O spirit aspiring in an ignorant frame, O voice arisen from the inconscious world, how shalt thou speak for men whose hearts are dumb? Make purblind earth the soul's seer vision's home, or lighten the burden of the senseless globe. I am the mystery beyond reach of mind. I am the goal of the travail of the suns. My fire and sweetness are the cause of life, but too immense my danger and my joy. Awake not the immeasurable descent. Speak not my secret name to hostile time. Man is too weak to bear the infinite's weight. Truth born too soon might break the imperfect earth. Leave the all-seeing power to hew its way. In thy single vast achievement, reign apart, helping the world with thy great lonely days.